Hi, everybody. Welcome to Voices from the Swamp. And I'm here with my guest, Ramon of Moon Scarab. How did you come up with that name?
Moon Scarab. Moon Scarab is a combination of two things that I really love and admire. One of them is, of course, the moon. The moon is that celestial body out there that is so ours. You know, um,
Yeah.
it's believed that the the moon occurred or was formed from impact of or the earth as it was forming with another celestial body, possibly another
Mhm.
planet. So like the minerals and the composition of the moon is very much alike like the one on earth. And if you think about it, life on earth wouldn't have developed in the way it has if the moon wasn't there, because
Yeah.
it has a gravitational pull. And even if like right now the moon was to disappear, it will throw the earth in such a chaotic way that it can threaten our own
We wouldn't.
existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's
it controls the tides and
the tides.
the
A
flow of
lot of
water and the
animals
wind.
a lot of
And
animals navigate through the position of the moon, and it's
plus,
been
it's a
that beat.
protector, it's a barrier to a lot of space junk that just flies around out there. It
Hmm
tends to
I
catch stuff before it hits Earth.
Yeah, and it
So,
could deflect it with its gravitational force,
right, yeah,
and it's been that symbol of so many things, love. It's been that companion for people, in
hmm
lonely moments. It's been an object of study through astrologers of different cultures, different ages. So I love the moon, and so the symbol of of my channel is this this beetle, and it's a scarab. It's the dung beetle, which is an animal that collects the the droppings of other mammals, and it might sound gross, but that animal, that insect, was deified by the ancient Egyptians,
I
and
was going to say,
yeah,
first time I
it's
heard
kept.
the term scarab was in the movie The
Hmm
Mummy, the original
Uh
movie,
huh.
The Mummy,
Yeah,
back in the
exactly. Yeah.
80s, I think it was.
Uh huh.
And I was like, oh, I, did, I don't like bugs. And I was like, okay, that's bigger than a damn cockroach.
Yeah. It's
But,
a
you
it. Yeah. It's a beetle. Yeah, and it actually has a very positive ecological impact. Because it helps remove a lot of waste from bigger mammals. Like especially in Africa where it's much more predominant. Beetles and scarabs are in all continents of Earth except
yeah,
Antarctica, of course. But the ancient Egyptians, I thought of the scarab as a manifestation or an aspect of the god Ra on a specific god called Khepri. Khepri was the aspect of Ra that was a beetle who would transport the sphere of the sun throughout the sky every day, every day. So, a couple years ago, I went to Egypt and I saw a depiction of Khepri, which I've never seen before. And it's the body of a human, and the head is like the whole body of a scarab. It's really strange.
oh, wow.
Yeah, there was no
I didn't know
temples
that.
dedicated. Yeah, there was no temples dedicated to Khepri, because it was Ra. The cult was towards Ra, but Khepri was an aspect. So I combined those two things, and the logo of my channel is this scarab carrying a sphere, and it's like a sphere of its own universe. Have some stars, a moon,
hmm
and that's how I combine it. Moon scarab. And it's sort of like also like a symbol of ourselves, because we are our own. We're a scarab in a way, we go. Before I continue, so the scarab, the dung scarab, they what they do also with the droppings is that they lay eggs and they eat from it. So it's like a edible nursery, and that's like their world. And we go through life rolling our ball of issues, uh, situations, and try to make the best of it.
Yeah.
It's so that's how I came out with Moon Scarab.
Well, you're either
I'm
going to
learning
laugh
those
or
two
you're going to
things.
cry. So, yeah. And crying doesn't do you a whole lot of good. So, you might as well laugh about it.
Yeah.
At
Yep.
least that's always been my philosophy. So,
Mm-hmm.
try to find
Definitely.
the humor in it. I've been accused of having a very morbid sense of humor. But yeah, I know.
We
I
have to
just
have
find that
it.
kind of stuff. I just
You know.
find it funny. I've been known to spew things out of my mouth, and everybody just looks at me like, "Really? You're going to say that?"
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what came to me. So, um,
That's true,
so what?
and
What?
sometimes that's part of our healing process. You know, sometimes
Yeah,
talking the problems, not just talking for someone to try to resolve it, but us verbalizing it. We listen to ourselves, and it sort of like helps uh, see in a
right.
different
Telling your
perspective. And
story your way.
mm-hmm. Yep,
You know,
exactly.
I know I do a counseling show twice a month, and our next show is Sunday. And just so happened this weekend, our topic is telling your story. That's
Mm,
what won the. We put three options up after each show for the next show, and we let the chat decide what topic they want us to cover next. And that's how we've
mm.
been doing it. And so far, it's worked out pretty good. And so this
Telling your
time, the
story.
telling your own story won out. So I got some homework to do afterwards. Got to read up on all the stuff that I downloaded. Um, but that's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's very important to find your voice and to
Mm-hmm.
speak your truth as you see it, but
Exactly,
to also
and
listen to what others' truth about you is, because
mm-hmm.
sometimes other people see you in a way that you've never thought of yourself. Um, and then they can open your eyes to a whole new side of yourself that you didn't even know was there. And
Mm-hmm.
what you may have thought was something done in a rash moment of irresponsibility, someone else might see as a very brave moment of, responding in a what they would consider a brave way. And so you have to be careful. Uh, you have to be sure to listen to how others see you, to know if what you're telling about yourself is coming across or not. Are they
Mm.
picking up your story, or are they just injecting what they see? And I think that's where we come in so well to help people, is to see beneath the surface. And I know about a year ago, I was doing a show with someone, and she had pulled the moon card, and I don't remember what the topic was about, but it suddenly, because of the deck she was using in the picture on that deck was different than most of the others I had seen. And it was like I had an epiphany with it. I was like, okay, it's the moon and it's used as in things hidden in shadow. I said, but if you look at the picture, it's illuminating what's in the bottom of the lake, which was a
Mm-hmm.
person laying down there. I said, so while the moon is in shadow, but it also illuminates, but from a different perspective. You're not seeing it in the bright sunlight, you're seeing it in the moonlight.
Exactly.
So it gives
Mm-hmm.
you a different perspective of what you're looking at. And I mean, other people may have come to that conclusion long ago. I had just never thought about it until that one time, and somebody held that card up, and it just hit me. And I was like, oh, wait, that's what that card means. And so that's kind of cool when it happens. I see Heather's already rolled
Yeah.
out the birthday wishes. Today is Ramon's
Thank
birthday.
you.
So everybody tell him happy,
Yes.
happy birthday. And
Thank
so
you.
you got two Geminis you're dealing with today. And because, yeah, you're Gemini. Yeah, it's after the 21st. So, yeah.
Yes, I am a Gemini.
And,
I'm a proud Gemini.
and proud Gemini. There you go. Me too. And
Let
I've got
me
lots of Gemini
just give me
stuff
one
around.
second. Sherry, I'm gonna have to reconnect through another internet signal because I'm cutting off.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay. Okay. Well, we may lose him. I don't know. He may stay there. I'm sure he'll disappear in a minute. In the meantime, I have been very rude and I have not said hello to everyone. So let me take a minute to say hello and welcome to Lorraine in Synchrony. Hi, Heather and Elena and Teresa and Arlene, Stephanie, Arlene, Marby, Paula, Stephanie, Rebecca, Chris. Hi, Allie. And
I'm back.
there he is. All right, now he's back. And let's see, we got Book is here, Lisa is here, Teresa, Robert, Piero, Tarot. Oh,
Oh
that's a new
yes,
name.
yeah,
Welcome. You got a
yeah. He's a new
channel?
channel. Yes, he has a channel. I was on his channel last week. We talked a little bit
Wow,
about
very good.
everything, and it was very interesting the conversation we had. It was an interview, and it was based on the Fool's Journey, and we went from the first card all the way to the world.
Yeah,
A different question. It was a really interesting format.
I did a
I
couple
have.
of shows with someone that we did just one card at a time, like an hour discussion of just
Mm-hmm.
one card. And the one that I did with him was the Hanged Man.
The
And
Hangman.
it was like, wow, brought up so many different perspectives that I never had thought about
Hmm.
to look at when I'm looking at a card, until I did that show with him. And it was like, oh, how interesting. I didn't think to look at it quite that way. Again, it's that perspective. What perspective are you looking at it? But
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. Well, Robert, feel free to put your channel name in the chat.
Yes, please.
Uh, one of the
He's yeah. He's a new channel.
mods, go ahead and
Uh huh.
put his
Yeah.
one of
We
the
want to
mods, look
support
it up
him.
and put it in there, and get some of y'all to go over and check him out and subscribe and get him up and running. I'm
Yes.
all for helping out new channels to get seen and get up and get going, and like I'm that big, right? But I mean, I figured there were people much more established than me that reached out in the beginning, invited me on, and introduced me to people in the chat that really helped me to grow. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've always felt like, well, that's just paying it forward, is to do the same to other people. Um,
Yeah.
you
And
have
it's
Heather in the chat, Soul
yeah.
Alchemy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
go to her channel, like, subscribe, and share. Heather has
Yes.
a beautiful channel,
It is
and
a
she
great
does
channel, and
beautiful
I'm
artwork.
actually yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
you're gonna
tonight at
be
her
with her
channel.
tonight.
Yes, I'm a fixture
Yeah.
at that channel already. We've done so many shows, and I really enjoy sharing with her. And tonight at 8, we're gonna have one talking about La Santa Muerte.
Oh, okay. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? I just I haven't cleansed it yet, so I haven't started using it yet. But I just got
Oh yeah, I've
my
seen that
Santa
one.
Muerte.
Uh huh.
I mean, they're really cool
Yeah, they're.
cards.
I love
That's the
them.
front, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's the back. Um,
Yeah.
but I haven't cleansed them yet, so I haven't
Mm-hmm.
started using them yet. I
Yeah, I
like to
have a
cleanse
lot of.
them. I let them sit in the moonlight last night, and then I'll do my little cleansing ceremony and whatnot, and then I'll be able to use them. And
Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about the historical, uh, how the image of the Santa Muerte came to be.
oh, okay,
It's based on a
interesting.
much older deity. Her cult. How it's confused usually with other figures, like for example the Grim Reaper, and there's
Right.
other images or other saints similar to La Santa Muerte, which a lot of people don't know about, and often the imagery gets confused, and you know uh, they think it's just this entity just to rip souls, but she is very different in the work that she does, how we interact with her, and things she does.
Right. I
And we're gonna.
first heard the name when I moved to Phoenix. I lived in Phoenix for 10
Mm-hmm.
years.
Yeah.
So, and of course, there's a very large Mexican population there, as well as Native Americans. So, there was a lot of stuff I learned about both of those cultures that a lot of stuff is similar and a lot of stuff is different.
Yeah.
Um, it's certainly different than the Cajun culture I grew up with, so,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it was very similar in some respects because we have voodoo and all that here that has been so distorted and twisted from the joys of Hollywood movies, making it into this evil thing. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's not really what voodoo is. But
Exactly.
it's to get somebody
Uh-huh.
to understand that. And
Yeah.
so that's good when you do shows like that because then it
Mm-hmm.
helps. It helps
Yeah.
educate people. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
but
and that's the case too with La Santa Muerte. There's been depictions on movies in a negative light. Same with tarot. I think as
yeah,
that we know and we've seen it, it gets so many in the media how tarot is portrayed. And when I came into tarot, I came to understand that it's something totally different. And through my journey in tarot, my faith in the divine has grown,
yeah,
very different from before. So.
yeah. I mean, I've always had gifts, as the my family called it. Oh, you got the gift, okay, but it was never discussed, never explained, never talked about, and I kept it locked in the closet for most of my life, and it wasn't until about 4 years ago, I guess, that it finally refused to be locked in the closet anymore, and it started barreling its way out, and that was about the time I fell into this community on YouTube, and um, somebody
Mm-hmm.
sent me a deck of cards and said, you need to be reading. Like, I don't know anything about this. They're like, oh, you'll learn. Don't worry. And they sent me some cards. So I learned by watching other readers and throwing cards with, while they were. And, um, and I'm still learning. I just signed up
Oh
for a
yeah.
class to be a better reader, to help expand my knowledge and my view of how I look at it because I am only about 4 years into learning this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It can be very overwhelming at times because I feel like I just don't know enough about it to answer questions. If somebody's really curious about something, it's like I have no idea. I'd have to look it up. So I finally
Mm-hmm.
decided it's time to take a couple of classes and strengthen
It's
my knowledge of what it
Yeah.
is.
I mean, it's a process, and you will always be a student of tarot. I mean, it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
matter how much you know, there's always something new to
yeah,
learn, a new way to see through the cards. That's if you're using one deck, and there are infinite amount of decks out there, and each one has like a different visual
a different
representation, which you can
yeah.
extrapolate uh, more meanings from. But with
Exactly.
tarot, there's like so many layers: astrology, numerology. There's correspondences. There's some correspondences on crystals, colors, even musical notes, seasons. There's so much
Angels,
you can.
archangels,
Mm-hmm.
seas, yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
It's trying to, and I think it just comes with experience. It's the more you do, the better you get at being able to
It's
just look at a
practice.
card
Mm-hmm.
and see all of those different elements all together. Whereas
Yeah.
in the beginning, you're just kind of seeing the surface element, and you're looking at the
Exactly.
book. Well, what does it mean?
Yeah,
Um,
that's when I started. I had a hard time with that. Learning the meaning of each one of the cards. That's why, I feel blessed that I started with RWS, and it's
yeah,
the way I started with tarot was because a deck came to me on a moment that I wanted to learn about tarot,
yeah,
and it was an RWS, and it made the process so much easier because each one of the cards has an image. And
yeah,
for example, learning with Marseille might be a little bit more challenging, because it's very different. the Nine of Cups to understand, looking at this image, then looking at Nine Cups. There's a story,
Right.
you know. And
Right.
there's people who
Right.
don't use RWS. I mean, RWS hasn't
Or
existed
have
for
never
always.
used it,
Or not,
and I
uh-huh.
don't understand. I've got, I've got so, I got way too many cards. Is my problem. It's an
Mm,
addiction. I can't help myself. I buy them like crazy. But yeah, I mean, I have a multitude of different, oracles. I really felt drawn to oracle cards. Like that's my strength. That's what I felt
mm.
really called to use. But I also
Oracles,
like using, yeah, the oracle cards, and I've
uh-huh.
got a gazillion of them. It's ridiculous. But it's the same with my tarot
They serve a
cards. I've got a,
purpose. They serve a
yeah,
purpose.
it just, because when
Uh,
I'm getting ready to do a reading, I will literally go to my bookshelf where all the cards are at. I'll be like, okay, which ones am I supposed to take out? And
mhm.
they will show themselves to me. Oh, it's my turn. I just did a personal reading 2 weeks ago, and it was my first official paid reading, actual face to face in the same room together.
Right.
Turned out she works at the same university I work at.
Hmm.
And so we work one building apart from each other. And so I mean I had done many personal readings online face to face, through StreamYard or Zoom, but never in person. We just nobody does that hardly. And it was the energy in the room of what we were, um of what I was reading for her was so different than when I'm online. I mean, it
It's very
just
different.
it's a very different feel to it. At first, it took me a few minutes to kind of even it out and say, "Oh, okay, I get what's going on here." But that morning when I left for work, I knew I was going to be meeting her after work. And so, I went to my bookshelf and I'm like, "Okay, what cards do I need to bring?" And of course, my my writer deck, that was the first thing. It's like, "Yep, that's coming with me." My go-to deck, and I grabbed that one, and then I thought I'll get some Oracle cards too. And so I got two Oracle decks, and I put one back. And packing up, getting ready to leave, go to work. He's like, nope, go back and get the other deck. So I went back. This happened 5 times before I left that morning. I was late to work because I kept having to go back and get that damn deck. And finally, the fifth time, I'm like, okay, okay, I get it. You want me to bring this deck? And so I did. And when we were doing the reading, after I did my reading, then I was doing the oracles just a little extra afterwards. And I pulled out the deck, and she lit up like a Christmas tree. Oh my God, you got a deck on fairies? I love fairies. I collect stuff that are fairy. I'm like, okay, there's a reason now why I had to go back 5 times to get this deck.
Hmm.
And I heard very clearly in my head, those are hers now. And so after the reading, I gave her the deck of cards. I said, these belong to you, because she's just starting out and just starting to learn.
Oh, you gave them to
"Oh,
her?
yeah, I gave them to her.
Good.
And she
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, you can't do that." I said, "Yeah, I can."
Yeah.
I said, "I'll go buy another deck. I'm not worried about it." But I
Hmm.
said, "These belong to you." I said, "Spirit was very clear. Those are hers now." And that's why I had to go back 5 times and get them, because I kept putting them back on the shelf. Spirit kept sending me back to the shelf to go get that deck. So I said, sometimes I'm stubborn, but eventually I learn. You
Hmm.
got to go with what you're being told. So,
And she will
um,
always remember that, and that one
yeah,
gesture, that one experience, it's a life changing event, you know.
it is.
And down the road, she might be able to help other people in similar situations,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Um,
started recently using oracles. I Before I wasn't really that drawn to them. I had one or two that I use as clarifiers, but
mhm.
now I have a much bigger collection. I love combining divination tools, so I use different things for clarifiers as I'm using
Yeah.
tarot. But oracles, it's really interesting because now I use them just by themselves.
Yeah,
Instead
I
of
do
as
that a lot.
clarifiers, yeah. I even do some
I'll
spreads,
use the
like the
tarot as a clarifier
hmm
because I'll read with the oracle and
No, it makes sense. It whatever
I'll pull the
works
tarot
because I,
card for it. Yeah,
in reality, all these different divination tools, they're oracles. You know, we
yeah,
just call oracles to that format of, what's not tarot, what's not Lenormand, but um, they're all oracles at the end.
yeah. And I mean, I have a Kipper deck. I haven't used it yet because I haven't
Hmm.
figured out how. Um, and I was just given a Lenormand deck, but it's kind of in daunting because it's in another language. And I'm like,
In
I don't know what it's
French,
saying on here. No,
is it
it's
in
in.
French?
I think it's in German. It's
Hmm.
either German or Russian.
Okay,
It was like one of the original decks that first came out with the Lenormand. Um, and
it must be
the guy
German
that,
then. It's
yeah,
got to be
yeah,
German
I think it, yeah, and
because
because the
it's.
person who gave it to me was friends with, I guess the publisher that
Hmm.
was publishing those cards, and they
Yeah.
were discontinuing them. They were going to publish them anymore, and he bought them out every deck he had, and now he gives them to people for gifts.
Good.
And so it's like an original, card deck. I was like, I can't read it, so okay, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Lenormand is a
Yeah.
great divination tool. I use it a lot. After
Oh, do
tarot,
you?
Lenormand, yes. After tarot, Lenormand is the one that I use the most, or I've been using the most, and it's a totally different vibe. It's very simple because tarot has like so many layers of meanings, just
Yeah.
within the images. Like I mentioned, you could read numerology, astrology, the image, the elements, but Lenormand is boom, straight to the point. Very simple,
Yeah.
and usually it's used in combination of more than one card because each one of the cards has a meaning, and it's sort of like builds a sentence, or like one card modifies the meaning of the other.
Right.
Traditionally that's how it's used, but
And it's
I've
if it's
used it by
above it, it's
itself.
one thing, and below it, it could mean another thing, and to one side
Yeah,
or the
if
other.
you're
Yeah.
using the grand tableau, yeah, but I,
Right.
I rarely use the grand tableau.
Okay.
um I do it sometimes, but in case of like one card next to the other, um one modifies the other, but you can read it by itself, and
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
know
kind of
people
how I
who.
read tarot. Is one what's next to it as to what is the story telling me here?
Yeah, the
What are we
direction,
going for?
there's people who read directional, so like how one card is facing the other. If you have, for example, the Fool, and the Fool is away from the direction of, I don't know, like the
Yeah,
Knight,
some cards they
a
be
Knight.
looking at each other. Yeah.
Yeah,
And other cards are looking away from each other.
yes,
That's yeah,
and you see a meaning in the message. It's amazing.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So recently I
And then
started using.
I use my pendulum. That's one of them anyway.
Hmm.
My favorite one is up underneath something and I can't find it. It fell off of its little holder. It, it hit the ground and it disappeared. I was like,
Hmm.
it's like it just fell into a black hole. I'm like, I didn't even hear it hit. So I don't know where it went. And it's like I've torn everything up in the area where it was at. It was like, okay, it was in my hand a minute ago and I
You need a
missed
new
the
one then,
slot to slide it into and it dropped. And I never heard it hit the floor,
and it
but
disappeared.
it's like it just disappeared.
Uh,
It's like, okay, it went into another dimension or something. I said,
Possibly. Maybe she wanted
maybe I
to
have a
take a
portal in my
vacation.
bedroom.
It needed a vacation, so maybe
It
you need
needs,
another
yeah, it was
one.
my
It'll
tiger's
pop up.
eye. I used it a lot. Yeah.
It'll
It was a
pop up
tiger's eye. Yeah.
whenever it's ready to resume duties.
Yeah. It needed a break.
Yeah,
That,
I
and then
use
like I was telling you,
pendulums.
I bought a crystal ball. I haven't learned how to use it yet, but I like
Yeah,
I like holding it and just holding it. Um
you bought it for
and
scrying,
it's
correct?
right. That's what I bought it for, was to use for
Yeah,
scrying to see if I
yeah.
could. And
Yes. Well, you know what it is. I was actually having a conversation with someone once about the topic, and I do scrying, but I don't use a ball. Usually, what I use is a very big dish, a black dish, and I use water, and that's how I
Right.
scry with it. But the problem with scrying, like you can scry on like so many things, but the problem is that sometimes we're looking at the object with the intention of wanting to see something, and it's
Hmm.
totally the opposite. You can't be thinking, I want to see something. And the example I put to it was Ali at Heart and Soul Connected.
Hmm.
At the conversation came up. The perfect example is when you're driving, right? You're going through the highway. You know, we all have that experience that we are driving and we don't know how we got home, and we were completely
Yeah.
aware. You know, we were looking at the stop signs, everything, but there's like a blank moment in the voyage, right? And when you're driving, you start thinking about a situation, and in my case, like I see like a whole scene of a story on something that I'm thinking, right? And most of the times it happens when I'm looking at the lines on the highway.
Mm.
That's a way right there. That is a moment of scrying. And I
Right.
wasn't looking to want to see an image. I was just relax my mind. I was thinking about a situation, and boom, like the whole image came up. And we all been through that. So we've
Oh
all
yeah.
scryed. So if you apply that principle to the moment when you're scrying, it's going to be way easier. You know, but if you're
Yeah.
looking at a ball or a dish, wanting to see an object or a scene, it won't happen because
It's not
you're
going to
too
show
too
up.
focused. You just have,
Yeah.
yeah, to be able
I
to
have to
see.
let go and just let
You have
it
to
show
not,
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to not want to see, or not looking to see.
Yeah.
That's how it comes up.
Yeah.
And that's how I apply it when I'm using like the dish. You know, I relax my mind. I'm not thinking that I want to see something, and that's when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. A lot of
and I
time,
think
I
all of
know
us can relate to
with
that.
learning to read, in the beginning, I was so focused on getting it right, getting the meaning right and whatnot, that I
The meaning of
wasn't
what?
of the cards of what I was
Mm-hmm.
throwing, that
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was so focused on that I wasn't seeing what they were trying to show me. I was just seeing the message. And it
Yeah.
took a while for me to finally be able to relax enough to say, okay, it doesn't matter what it says in some book about this card. What does it make me feel?
Mm-hmm.
And when I started doing that, that's when things started to click for me.
Exactly.
And
Mm-hmm.
um, and then just a few months ago, I came across an opportunity to take a course in card reading, taught by like 8 or 9 different teachers, and it's an online course, and it's go at your own pace. You do what you do, and then you go in and they you do like tests or whatever, as you progress along with each level until you finish up at the end and you get a certification
Mm-hmm.
that you've been certified by them. And then this past weekend, I went to a book signing. I discovered we had a spiritual store here that I didn't even know we had. Um, and so I went over there and met the owner, and she just got into a new building and was talking with her, and we were talking about, she's trying to build her business, and she's got like one room set aside for readers. If they don't have anywhere to read at home, they can come in and rent the room for like $5 an hour or something and do readings for people, just have them meet there. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. But the author that was doing the book signing has spent like 11 years, 10 years writing this book all about the tarot and the cards and all the different meanings and all the variations and all the this and that. Everything that he learned under someone else who taught him, who
Mm-hmm.
had been doing it for most of her lifetime until she passed. And so I've got his book, and it's like taking a class as you go through it. and he's got a Facebook page that once you get in, you can go there and it'll give you lessons to go along with what's in the book, and
Yeah.
kind of move along and able to talk to other people who have his book and talk to him and what do you think about this and that? I got this, and, that kind of thing. And so I thought, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's time for me to invest into increasing my knowledge and my ability so that I'm more comfortable with it because now it's starting to open up that I may be able to do more readings, actual face to face, in person readings.
Yeah, you
We've
can.
got a Spirit Fest that's happening next month in June, for a festival, a day long festival. It's like I didn't even know we had these here because everything's so either Catholic or evangelical. It's kind of drowns out everything else. And so I was really excited to find out they've got a festival that's coming up. And she was like, yeah, she says, once you get going and get comfortable and whatnot, she says, it's nothing to get a booth next year and be one of the people that are here reading. And I'm like, oh, that's good to know. But
Yeah,
then
yeah,
that's
you
when I
definitely.
started thinking, if I'm going to do something like that, then I need to be more confident in what I'm doing. And that's
Yeah,
what I'm working on
it's
now.
confident, but that comes, from practice,
Exactly.
knowledge. Looking at different videos, being open to, different styles, different meanings,
Right.
and
Yeah.
trusting yourself. I have my best friend when I started in tarot. I went to my best friend asking for his advice of, on the meaning of the cards, what was the best way because I was overwhelmed, with the meaning from the books or the meaning of this video, and he
It's
said I
very
don't use.
overwhelming.
He told me I don't use keywords. I just read intuitively based on the images, and that is a way to do it too.
Hmm.
And it's valid. You can memorize each one of the keywords for reverse upright for all the cards, but if you don't have that confidence, you don't feel the energy at the moment you're doing the reading, it comes to nothing. You have to let the energy flow, in the interaction with the other person, in yourself more than anything. It's not about trying to get it right. It's whatever comes up. you know Whatever you're feeling.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, like in the
And that's
case
something
of.
I've been learning this past year as I've started doing more one on one readings with people of gaining that confidence and being um, more self assured of what it is. I'm opening myself up more. As I started opening myself up more for the reading, the mediumship started waking up. It was like, okay, that's a whole new ball of wax. And then a few months
Mhm.
ago, visions started happening. It's like that was my mother's gift, not mine. So I don't know if she's just decided to come on in the room and say, okay, now you get to use my gifts too. And um, so
Yeah, my family's
it's,
been more about dreams. You know, being a
yeah,
premonition of things to happen through dreams, and my father more than anything. And my father's a religious man. As I grew in a religious household, Pentecostal, Protestant, a domination of the
yeah.
Protestant church, and of course, divination is not a thing. But he he always gets um, premonition of things to happen through dreams. And he acknowledges it as divine, which in a way it is.
Yeah.
But in the church, and I had this conversation before, the church, and it's something he does. He does bibliomancy without even realizing. I do bibliomancy. I love bibliomancy. But in this case, he connects with his divine being, God, and
Hmm.
he talks about a situation or he's looking for a message. He opens a passage of the Bible and he finds it there. And that is bibliomancy
Oh,
without
yeah,
even knowing it.
absolutely. Yeah.
So there's always.
Um, I know
But.
here in my area, we have what's called treaters, which is very much like a medicine man or a medicine woman
Mm-hmm.
from the Cajun culture. and a lot of stuff that they do is almost like hearing people that talk in tongues and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way they speak and whatnot, because they get plugged into a source, and it's like it's wow.
Yes.
Um, and at the same time, you know, sometimes they'll get a vision or they'll just know something. Most of them are doing healings, and whether if it's an actual physical healing or if it's a spiritual healing or a place healing, um, they do a lot of that. So a lot of along the lines of medicine men and medicine women, or shaman,
Mm-hmm.
what a shaman would do. And so, I mean, and I grew up with all. I grew up Catholic, and then when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, got involved with in the Baptist church. Why, I'll never know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Mm.
Got out of that cult and was like, okay, because my mother was spiritual, but she was never religious. She
Mm.
didn't go to church. She had no interest in church. Um, she would go if one of us was doing something in church. She would go to support us, but
Yeah.
that was it. Other than that, she was like, I don't want to hear it. But
Mm-hmm.
she had her own little picture of Jesus that she carried with her everywhere, you know, and she had her own way of believing and plugging in, and she was very psychic herself. And so you know, I figured her attitude was do what works for you. If you're happy doing that, then do
Mm-hmm.
that. If it doesn't make you happy, then find something else that does and go that direction. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of nice. My brother and I both were brought up, you know, it's your choice what you want to believe in. She wasn't going to browbeat us into you have to believe this way or you have to pray that way or have to say things a different way. You know, she was like, you know, you have to figure out
Your own
what's
path,
best for you.
your own
Yeah,
journey. Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. And so that's how she kind of raised us to go our own way with it. And I mean, we all live together here. Me, my son, uh, who's agnostic pretty much now. My brother, who's borderline atheist, agnostic. He doesn't believe in any of this. And his son, who's I don't know, I don't know what he believes. He's kind of wishy washy. I don't really care. It
It's
doesn't matter. You know, he'll come ask
it's
me about this stuff sometimes, and
yeah.
but I know
It's
his
all a
mom
personal
is.
journey. It's all a personal
Yeah, his
journey,
mom is
because
real religious now. So, but you know, we all live here together in this apartment. And when I got serious about doing this, and they realized that I this was serious for me, they went to extremes to give me my own space that I could close off just me so I could be online or whatever, you know, or on the phone or however I'm doing it, so that I would have my place to do my stuff, you know. And they all, you know, work very hard to not they try not to be too loud when I'm on air, although they do forget sometimes. Um, they try to keep the dogs calm so they're not barking like crazy,
mm,
although that doesn't always work either. But there you go. Um, but yeah, it's especially when you live in a house with a bunch of people. It helps to do this if everyone around you is there to support you, and not everyone has that. And um, and that's where I think the online community comes in so helpful, because you've got this group of like-minded people that are there to listen to you and help you, and you
and
know, let you
understands you,
and understand.
understands, you know,
Yeah,
understands what it is, you know.
exactly.
And I get a lot from the community, you know, sharing, going through channels, you know. It's for me, it's not
Oh yeah.
just, it's not looking to, like, promoting the channel. It's
No.
more about connecting with other people. I get a lot through every interaction that I have. I learn a lot, and you know, I try to share a little bit of myself and try to inspire other people, you know, in their journey. But it's very important to have, you know, connections in the community. because
Absolutely. I'm
it's our support. It's people who, um, like I said, who understand us, and they're there to for us to learn from.
and the
And
ones
that.
that are the ones that are kind of, I guess you could say, fraudulent about it. It doesn't take long before everybody kind of picks up on that and doesn't really deal with them anymore. Yeah, I've seen that happen with
Mm,
some people, that just you get the very strong impression, when they come in through the door that they're just in it to try to make money. How fast can I move it? And how fast can I go? And how
yeah,
much
I
can I
mean,
raise? And it's like, yeah, we all want to make money. We have bills to pay. That's part of that energy exchange between what we're giving and what we're taking. Um, but
but not
for a
everybody
lot of
does.
us,
A
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
it
right.
is,
I mean, a lot of people don't have to.
sort of like
Yeah,
a quest for knowledge, um,
yeah.
to sharing what you know. It's because when you're doing readings for someone, or in different forms of divination, it is you have a responsibility. It
Exactly.
is. It's a very big responsibility, because a lot of life changing decisions can be based on that, or just a word, the impact of words. One
Oh
word can make
yeah,
a difference in
absolutely.
someone's life, one gesture, like in your case when you gave that oracle to that lady. And we get to learn other methods or ideas in the process of networking through different channels. And there's so many channels with different styles
Oh,
and different voices, but that's what makes the community stronger.
that's what I
Everyone
love about
being
it. That's
themselves.
why I
And
like inviting people that I see, on other people's channel that I don't know yet. I
mm,
love to have them come on because I'm learning in the process of helping them grow a little bit just to show their face around. And that, like I said, it's like paying it forward. I feel like that's an important thing to do. Is someone was there to help me get going, and now it's my turn.
yeah.
And I mean, yeah, we all want to grow. Like I said, we all want to be successful, but I'm more focused on, yeah, I need to pay the bills, but at the same time, it's more importantly is to help someone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when people have contacted me for readings, it's like I told them, this is my price list. But if this is out of your range, talk to me and we can work something out. There's
And
I've
there's
done
nothing
plenty
wrong
of,
with that. If you want
no,
to be compensated, that's fine. But
yeah,
it's not all that there is, and you can feel it sometimes. Sometimes I go through YouTube and I type tarot and I click on live, and I like see like so many channels out there, and like you can feel the energy. you know
right,
it's
yeah.
like hustling, like I don't know, it feels kind of like fast food tarot, if that makes any sense. It's
No, that
something
makes
like,
perfect. That's a good way to put it. That's
you
exactly
know
what it feels like. Yeah.
and
Whereas
it's
I'm more like the crock pot. It's slow cooking. We're gonna we're gonna take our time and learn this stuff, okay? Um,
yeah.
so that's a good way to put it. Yeah, you can do the
And
fast food or you do
I,
the crock pot.
and
Uh,
it's nothing wrong either. That's their style, and they have people who are drawn to that, and that is fine. It's a
yeah,
personal experience for the channel and the people who go to it. That's it.
yeah. I know
you
when
know
I first started, someone asked one of the more established readers, well, there's already so many people on, and what good can I do? And her response was, your voice may be the only voice that someone out there will hear and that
mm-hmm.
will make a difference in their life.
Yeah.
So whether if you have just one subscriber or a million subscribers, it doesn't matter. As
Mm-hmm.
long as you're reaching that one voice that needs to hear you talk to them, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So then
And
that's why we do this.
we all started with that one channel that we felt identified with, and started to learn. In my case, it was Simon from the Hermit Cave, and it's I love his channel. And his channel is very different from mine. His channel, he does a lot of conversations with guests. The focus on the channel, the way I perceive it, it's he shares uh, it's more in terms of cartomancy, and he shares with the community decks that are available out there on the quality of the cards, and that is a totally valid and great way to share with the community. He's such a
Give me
beautiful
just a second here.
human
Hang on
being.
just a sec.
Yeah. So I started with Simon from the Hermit's Cave. He's a great person. He's a friend of mine too. And I started. Um,
Sorry, my
I s-
son was leaving for work and he had a question for me, and I was like, I can't look at you and answer when he's talking.
yeah, that's fine.
uh,
And
I
I
didn't mean to be
started.
rude.
No, no. I started learning about the community through Simon. On the different decks, and but it was one of his videos who prompted my interest in learning about other divination tools. Out of tarot, other
Yeah,
than tarot, Lenormand, Elder Futhark runes, uh, dominoes. There's a video he had like my divination tools, and he went through different divination tools that he had available, and like it blew my mind because I mean I've used some tools other than tarot, but thinking that there were so many things available, and it was his voice who helped me expand my the selection of divination tools that I use
right.
in my practice. And
I
yeah, and we
know.
all started with
I want to
that one
learn how to
channel.
use ruins. I mean, I love the ruins. Uh,
Runes are great. Elder
yeah, I
Futhark
do.
runes, the Om runes, which they're more like North Ireland.
Yeah,
Um, there's witches runes. There's goddess runes. There's several types of runes, but Elder Futhark are
different
fantastic.
kinds.
I love Elder Futhark.
Yeah,
Those
and
were the
then
first
and my
runes that I started
heritage
with.
is very Celtic. I mean,
Mm,
our family Welsh, Irish, Scots,
mm-hmm.
English, French,
Yeah, so
and Cherokee.
The
And
Om
so,
runes might be the
yeah,
Om runes are closer to you in terms of that, but every culture has their own divination tools, and there's so many things out there.
right.
I use dice, coins, geomantic sticks, conchomancy, which is divination with seashells, um, tasseomancy, elder futhark runes, witches runes. In terms of cartomancy, I use tarot, Lenormand. I use oracles.
Yeah.
Um, right now, I started with Kipper, learning about Kipper, and I'm using this deck. It's the Grand Itea,
Mm-hmm.
and which a lot of people find challenging, but it's such a beautiful deck. And it's the before the RWS, the the first deck that had illustration on all the images. And this one gives you like the keywords upright and reverse on each one of the cards.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Very good.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I like about my standard Rider Waite deck. It's got the keywords. It's
Mm.
got the numerology. It's got the astrological sign. It's got the ruin symbol. It's got yes, no, or maybe answers to it. It's like there's like 6 or 7 different options that you can get off of just one card, depending on what you're reading on and how you're reading on it, as to what you're going to read on that card. And I like the fact that it's all on one card in a very simplistic manner without being overwhelming. And I had been doing this maybe about 6, 7 months when I saw another reader was doing like a card flip through with this deck. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. And because it was kind of everything, because being a Gemini, it's like 5 minutes, I'm into this, and 5 minutes later, I'm over here. Squirrel happens all the time for us. It's,
Gemini to Gemini, I completely understand. Uh huh.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
we
It's like
have we
I
have an
see this, and
interest
it's
in
like, Yeah,
We have an interest in so many things, you know.
in
You
so
can
many
get
different
bored
things,
easily,
and
and
it's hard to sometimes it's hard to focus on the right when something over here has gotten our attention now.
hmm
It's like we want to jump to both, and that's kind of been me these last couple of years, is like darting back and forth because it's just so fascinating, trying to learn. Um, and so that's when I finally was like, okay, I need to kind of slow things down a little bit, and let's go back to the basics and start with the tarot, and
hmm
let's start just learning it to just improve my knowledge of it so that I'm more confident, more more comfortable with being able to discuss it and do readings with people and answer questions about it. I mean, I've been asked, well, why does it that mean this and that means that? I don't understand. And it's like I don't have the answer for that because I don't know that either. So it's just to get that basic knowledge is where I'm at now, is to kind of go back a little bit, backtrack, and still do my shows, but not as much as I used to do, and spend some time focusing on learning more.
hmm and doing
Because there's just
readings
so much
because
out there. It's so fascinating. It's just,
yeah, and do
it's
readings in the process. You know, the readings, draw daily cards and ask
right.
yourself what message am I getting from this card? Why? You know, do readings for your
Yeah.
friends, for family members, because questions will pop up that you didn't even think of. It's
Yeah.
the experience of going through it. It'll help you fine tune your confidence and knowledge. You know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, I know whenever I'm doing readings, that I've had someone else that maybe, there's several of us all reading, and I'll get a meaning off of one thing, and then another reader will go, well, also you could apply yada 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 to that same card. I'm like, oh, I never thought
hmm
of it that way before. Now some people I've seen get upset when that happens because it's like, I don't know, I guess they think you're
That's not
trying
what it
to
means.
you correct them or something, and
What?
it's like,
No.
no, it's just a different perspective that now you have the opportunity to now look at that card in the future with two perspectives, not just yours but someone else's, and how it was
hmm
seen. And that to me is expanding it because it gives more meaning overall to what you're doing. And so yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
yeah, I get
it's
it. And maybe down the road, one card, you know, has a totally different meaning to you. That happens to me with Lenormand, you know, and the card the mice, you know, because traditionally it means dwindling, something that's eating away at a situation, something that's
yeah,
harmful. But I don't use it in I don't use that meaning for that card. For me, is a sign of wisdom, you know, because mice mice are survivors. First of all, you know, they try to they go to places where they find food, and naturally they're gonna eat at it. But they they are one of the most intelligent animals, and they are the symbol of divinity for a lot of different cultures. Like for example, Ganesha, you always see Ganesha depicted with a mouse, and that's what it symbolizes. It symbolizes wisdom,
hmm
and wisdom is something that doesn't come suddenly. It comes little by little. In the same case, like with mice, you know, eating away little by little at things.
little by little, yeah.
Yeah.
I had one of my students um, is from India, and last year she had gone home over the holidays, and when she came back, she brought me a statue, like the headshot statue of Durga,
Mm-hmm.
which is like the most powerful goddess in the Hindu religion because
Durga.
she's created out of all the other gods and goddesses to be able to fight evil from all of their levels put together. And but it's also she's seen as the goddess of protection for women and women's rights, and that's kind of how she's seen today. It's that belief has kind of morphed a little bit. And she brought me this statue when she came back. I was really touched. I didn't know anything about this goddess at the time. I was like, well, this is really cool. I said, what does it mean? She says, well, she's the protector of women. And I always see you as a protector of all of us because you're always standing up for everybody. And I mean, that just really touched me because
Mm-hmm.
I had not ever thought that I never thought of it that way. I was just, you're not going to pick on my kids, is basically what it comes down to. I did the same for my brother when he was growing up, and my son when he was growing up. It's like, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to screw with my kids. I'm sorry. You're gonna face a little trouble there. Um, and I didn't even realize that that was kind of what was coming across with some of the students was that they saw me as their protector, and which made me feel really good. And then the fact that she verbalized it to me in such a way as to actually bring me the statue of the goddess that she thought I represented to her was very humbling and very touching all at the same time. And just, I proceeded to dig in and try to learn as much about her as I could. And just because it's like if somebody's going to stick me on that pedestal for whatever reason, I
Mm-hmm.
better know what the hell the pedestal's built from. So it
Mm-hmm.
was
Are you a
very
teacher?
interesting.
May I ask?
No, I'm actually an administrative assistant. I'm the
Uh-huh.
secretary. I sit in the office.
Uh-huh.
I call on my students because they all come to me for stuff.
Okay, makes sense.
And I'm also in our department. I'm the liaison for the Office of Diversity for one of the groups called Project Allies for our
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ students who, if they're feeling bullied or harassed or anything like that, we have special signs that we keep on our door so that if they're in any building and they're feeling that, they see somebody with that sign, they know that's a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
They can go to that office, that room, that person. You don't have to
Talk
give
with
me any
someone and
explanations.
yeah.
Just, you can talk if you want or just come hang out in the office with me for a while,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you need.
Decompress
And
that
yeah,
safe space. Yeah.
exactly. And that's just very important to me. And so I know a lot of them come by, just come snatch a handful of candy because I keep candy in my office for them. I figure, okay, they're in their 20s, but they're still kids. A lot of them still think like kids, and
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of them, it's their first time away from home. They've always been at home during school, so and now they're in the grown-ups world. They're not at home anymore, and it can be a scary world out there, especially for our foreign students
Yeah,
who,
definitely.
they're not only on their own for the first time, but they're in a different country
Mm-hmm.
with a different language, with a different culture. And I always make a point of asking them, where are you from? What is your area like? What is the culture like? What is the food you eat? Because to me, it's that Gemini thing. I'm fascinated with learning all of that stuff. And
It helps you see a broader picture too. When you have
yeah,
more information.
exactly, exactly. Well, Ramon, we've been at this for an hour. I try not to keep people. I got one eye that keeps wanting to tear up on me. I try not to keep people bringing me to tears. Um,
Ah,
I try to make it fun for everybody. I
it
have
is
some
interesting.
shows that's all we do is goof off and just have fun because we
Taco,
need that.
whatever. Uh huh.
Yeah, that's my Saturday night, my night owl slumber party that I
Mm.
do at 11 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock
Oh, I would
Central.
love to.
Oh,
I would love to be on one of them. I'm a
oh,
night owl.
oh, well, then
Yeah,
you would find the
I
right
sleep late.
spot. I do it every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Central,
Okay.
and we an hour, 2 hours until I'm literally falling asleep on camera, and the
Yeah.
chat will be telling me, Sherry, it's time to go to bed. I'm like, okay, okay. They'll see me start going down. My head will go down. They'll be like, "It's time to go to bed. Wrap it up." I'm like, "Okay, okay." They
Mm.
take care of me. They don't let me embarrass myself too bad. But
I'll
it's
swim by
just,
one night,
yeah, absolutely. It's every Saturday
and I'll
night.
bring some
Uh,
cocoa. I mean, it's summer, so I guess I'll bring something.
there you go. Yeah, an adult beverage if you want, or just a Coke
Yeah.
or a cup of tea or coffee or
Chamomile
whatever.
tea. I don't drink, but I'll bring some chamomile tea. I love
If
chamomile
I
tea.
drank chamomile
It,
tea, I would be falling asleep on air.
yes, it helps me. I drink Egyptian chamomile tea. It's like the best thing. I drink it every night because I always had sleeping problems since I was a teenager. I was like 2 in the morning watching MTV, and
Yeah,
it's always been an issue my whole life. And it wasn't until I discovered Egyptian chamomile that it's the best thing.
yeah. I have
And
some in my cabinet. In fact, I need to get some more. I'm almost out. And because yeah, I've always been a night owl. I'm a night person.
mm,
And yet I've always had jobs that require me to get up at the crack of dawn. It's like midnight. I'm trying to make myself go to sleep, and I got to get up at 5 a.m. to go to work. It's like, okay,
yeah. Hmm.
something's got to give here. But Friday and Saturday nights, that's my. I get to sit up all night if I want to.
Cool.
I may look like death warmed over the next day. That's okay. A little bit
Doesn't
of
matter.
makeup, it'll cover it up.
Hmm.
uh,
uh,
but well, thank you for coming on. I really
Thank you for having
appreciate it.
me. Thank you
And
for having me.
my biggest apologies to the chat. Normally, I'm paying attention to y'all, and I'm listening, looking at what you're writing, and I'm listening and talking back.
I'm terrible
And
with that.
Ramon has been so fascinating that I've been all my focus has been on him, and to the detriment of y'all. And I do apologize. Um, so fuss at me later. Come back at 8 o'clock when I do Amy's party, and or come tomorrow night. Y'all know you got to wear your jammies.
Uh
That's
huh.
the other thing for the night owls. You got to
Has
wear
to
your
be
jammies.
jammies. Okay.
And so
I'll find a
I got my
suitable one.
I get away from my with my moo so I wear my big moo
I think I have a
and
Star Wars jammy. I'll
oh,
dig it
there
out.
you go. That'll work. I found my when my son was preteen was when the Ninja Turtles first came out
Ah,
in early '90s, and he was nuts over the turtles. And
I had a Superman one when I was a kid, and I loved it. I was
yeah,
like
he
six
was
or
he
seven
was
years old.
it was a Ninja Turtles, and then Power Rangers came out. It was all Power
Mm.
Rangers. Thank God he was old enough to not get into the Barney stage. I probably would have killed myself. From what I've heard from the parents, it's like I could have took it. But he was really into the turtles. And several years ago, I was trying to figure out something for Christmas, and I went on eBay and I found a set of slippers, house slippers,
Mm.
that were the original Ninja Turtle house slippers that you could buy way back then. They
Mm.
cost me a pretty little penny, but I ordered them and I got them for him for Christmas. You would have thought I had given him $1 million when he opened that box and saw what they were. He was tickled to death with it.
Uh,
So
I hear you. I think I froze, but I can hear you.
you did. You froze on the screen.
Mm.
So thank y'all very much for hanging out and listening. Please, please, please go to Ramon's channel, Moon Scarab, and like and subscribe and share. Go leave a comment. I believe he's simulcasting, so
Yes, I
make
am.
sure after the
Hmm.
show you go leave a comment in the comment sections. After the shows are over, that boosts the algorithm. It helps get us pushed out there. And uh, I'm trying to think anything else. If you've got a channel, you're just starting out, put your channel in the comment section so other people can see it. That way they can go click on your link and go check you out. And I'll do the same and say, hey, come on over. Let's have a chat. So I've lost his picture. He's lovely green now. It fits with the swamp. And you
I
blend
can
right
hear
in.
you.
And thank you, Ramon, for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
Go
for
have
having
fun with
me.
it.
Oh, I think
Ah,
I'm back.
there he is.
Here I am.
Uh, Have fun with
Thank you
Heather
for
tonight.
having
Well, I
me.
know you will.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
It's gonna be an
Heather's
interesting
a
conversation. Swing
sweetheart.
by Indigo Jaguar and Intuitive Arts.
Yep.
It's gonna be a
Yep.
very interesting conversation, and
She
you know,
does. She does great show. I usually try to hop in.
yes.
I'm usually on another channel, and so she's only got a few minutes left by the time I get off
Mm-hmm.
and can go hop over to hers. A lot of people now I wind up watching and replay because I don't ever seem to be able to get over on the live.
Yeah.
And so but
Yeah. So I'm
yeah,
gonna be there
Heather's got a
tonight.
great.
Yes, she's very creative in terms of topics for shows. I'm gonna be there tonight for talk about Santa Muerte, and on Sunday I'll be back to for poetry night. Um,
Oh yeah, with Jeff. Jeff was on with me last week,
Jeff, yeah.
and he's a sweetie. I've got one of
Mm-hmm.
his books he wrote. Um,
Oh yeah, I love his
oh, a
poetry
couple of years
and
ago, he
Heather's.
wrote a book and was giving them away for a giveaway he was doing, and I won one, and I was like, oh wow, and
Good.
so that's right up my alley. I love books. I got books everywhere.
There
Books
you
and
go.
cards. It's cockroach's dream, right?
Mm.
Lots of paper to chew on.
That's right.
I don't have bugs. That's the one thing I'm no, no. I'll
You're in the
fumigate
south, so
everybody. Yeah,
so
but
you
they
might get
better
a lot
stay
of
the hell
bugs.
outside.
Do you like
They come
gumbo?
in. Oh yeah, I eat gumbo all the
I
time.
love gumbo. I'm
Oh well,
vegetarian,
then you're
so
gonna have to
I
come visit. I'll make
yeah,
you
I'm
gumbo.
vegetarian, but I do I love gumbo, and I'm making
I
I do
make
the
chicken
roux.
and sausage. Yeah,
Yeah, but I
I make
use, I mean it might be not real gumbo in the sense that it's not real meat what I'm using, but
gumbo. Depends on the roux.
yeah.
If you make
So
the
I
roux
make the
right,
roux. Yeah,
then
I make the
whatever
roux
you
from
put in it is
scratch.
gumbo. Yeah,
Yeah, I make the roux from scratch, and I like it
yeah,
like very dark.
yep,
And I add the Trinity, and from there I just start adding other things,
yeah.
and
You just
build
you
my
you
own.
add it to your taste.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize there's two different kinds of gumbo. There's Cajun gumbo, which comes from a roux, and
Mm-hmm.
there's Creole gumbo, which is tomato base, which
Yeah.
is kind of like a spaghetti sauce type
Now the question
almost.
is, do you use sassafras or do you use okra?
Sassafras. I don't
I use
touch
okra.
okra.
I
Don't,
love okra. I
don't
use okra
I
for as a
can't stand
thickener.
okra.
Ah, I love okra. I love
I
okra.
can't stand
It
okra.
has to have okra. If not, it's
Yeah.
not a gumbo for me.
Yeah. To me, it's got to have this filet, or it's just, I
Ah,
not only cook with it, but then I put it in my bowl when I'm eating something. So,
uh
uh,
huh.
but yeah, okra, I can't handle okra.
I love
And
okra. Too slimy for you?
yeah, I just,
Mm.
the texture, the consistency is like, no, I can't do it.
Uh huh.
And
Okay.
it's just too lit.
Yeah, I
It's
tried
like
using
I'm not
sassafras
crazy about
once.
crawfish either, but
Yeah, I
um,
tried using
I love
sassafras
shrimp.
once, and I it it didn't I didn't connect with it. Okra,
Yeah,
definitely.
it just depends on where what your taste buds are.
Mm-hmm.
Different people
Like
have
everything, of course.
different flavors. Yeah, so
Mm.
just like if you go to another part of the world, it's their food. They could be cooking the same thing, but it's going to taste completely different. So
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
it just depends on their spices and what they're used to. So and you
Yeah.
experiment and you get
Mm-hmm.
to find new stuff to eat. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you, my dear,
Well,
very
thank you
much for
very
coming. Next
much.
time we'll get around to card reading. I promise.
Yes, we didn't touch a single divination tool.
We no, we didn't.
Next
We just
time,
talked about them, so
but it
that's
was a good
okay.
intro for the next future shows, right?
Absolutely, you got it.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you all
me.
very much for coming. I see you, Miss Taro D. I'm trying to save up to make a trip up north to go see her, and
There you
up in the Bronx. Never been
go.
in New
Okay.
York, so
Oh,
uh,
really? New York is amazing. I'm in Philadelphia,
and
so I'm 2 hours away, and
oh
I used to
wow,
go a lot to New York on the weekend, especially.
never been there. Never been there.
Really? Mm,
Yeah, Heather's not far. She's up in Niagara, or
yeah.
right near Niagara Falls,
Mm.
and I want to go see her too. So we'll see.
All right.
Eventually, I'm gonna make it around to see everybody. All right, y'all. Thank
All
you
right.
very
Take
much for
care.
coming tonight, and y'all have a good weekend. I'll see
Blessings to all.
y'all tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Wear your PJs, and we'll have fun night. So that's our goofy night, and we'll see y'all later. Bye for now, everyone.